So we are continuing this last chapter of Shrimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 19, and we left at text number.
Yesterday 30.
Okay, thank you.
It's such an important chapter, right? Because this chapter is actually what starts.
Really?
Yeah, okay.
In the previous verse, I really like the name Vishnu Rata. It's a name given for Parikshit Maharaj, and one who is always protected by Vishnu. So actually that name applies to every devotee, because every devotee is actually protected, always protected by Vishnu. As soon as somebody chants Krishna's name even once, that person comes under Krishna's protection and can be called Vishnu Rata. Sasamritastatra mahan mahiyasham brahma rishi raj rishi dev rishi sange varochatalam bhagavan yathendru grahakshatara nikare paritaha.
Sukadeva Goswami was then surrounded by saintly sages and demigods, just as the moon is surrounded by stars, planets, and other heavenly bodies. His presence was gorgeous and he was respected by all.
So this verse is kind of mentioning the different kinds of rishi. It's very interesting to see Brahma Rishi, Raja Rishi, and Deva Rishi. The Brahma Rishi means the sage amongst the Brahmanas, somebody who's really advanced Brahmana, who's into the study of the scriptures deeply. That's the Brahma Rishi. Brahma Rishi would be, I think, Vishwamitra, Vasishtha, they would be the category of Brahma Rishis. And Raja Rishi, saint among the kings. So there were many saintly kings who were also present there, looks like, in that assembly. And Deva Rishi is for example, Narada. Narada is considered a Deva Rishi. So all different kinds of rishis were present. And despite all, and on every single one of those stages was like a star. And anywhere they would go, they would be sufficient in themselves to enlighten the whole area, everybody. But in the presence of Maharaj Parikshit, all of them,
in the presence of Sukadeva.
Sorry, in the presence of Sukadeva Goswami, all of them actually in both their presence, they all kind of faded. And then they became like stars, because when the moon is in the sky, then the stars become faint. So this is the influence of Sukadeva Goswami, that he kind of stood out amongst everybody because of his devotional qualifications. His presence was gorgeous.
What a word. Into.
Prasantamasina kunthamedasam munim ripo bhagavato abhyupetya pranamya mudma vahita kritanjali natva gira sunnitayan vaprichat.
The same Sri Sukadeva Goswami sat perfectly pacified, intelligent, and ready to answer any question without hesitation. The great devotee Maharaj Parikshit approached him, offered his respects by bowing before him, and politely inquired with sweet words and folded hands. So this is such a nice, the gesture now adopted by Maharaj Parikshit of questioning a master is quite befitting in terms of scriptural injunction. The scriptural injunction is that one should humbly approach a spiritual master to understand the transcendental science. So this gesture actually indicates our mental gesture. What is our mental gesture when we are approaching a spiritual master? Or even when we're approaching the Bhagavatam, right? I guess this is the other thing, that when we're approaching the Bhagavatam, or when we're even approaching the scriptures for a study, what is our mental mode? Is our mental mode information gathering? Is it collect more and more points? Or is it really that we're coming with this mood of bowing down and saying that I'm on the verge of death, and how do I now approach? So even within the realm of reading Bhagavatam, our questioning can be different, right? And Bhagavatam being a desired tree, can respond to us based on how we are. Of course, Bhagavatam also being the topmost Purana can purify us just by coming in contact with Bhagavatam, being non-different from Krishna. But at the same time, it's our mental mode. as well.
Yeah, because Bhagavatam is non-different from Krishna. It's the deity of Krishna. And just like when a pujari goes on the altar to worship the deity, the pujari needs to have that humble mood of approaching the Supreme. Similarly, we have that humble mood of not just approaching a book and mastering it.
So we were just talking about
The mood in which we
Yeah.
approach the Bhagavatam, folded hands, and bowing down, politely inquiring. These are all qualities.
and also
of-
Prabhupada is making this point that he was in the he was to know, and within a very short time of 7 days, he was to know the process of entering the kingdom of God. In such important cases, one is required to approach a spiritual master. There is no necessity of approaching a spiritual master unless one is in need of solving the problems of life. One who does not know how to put questions before the spiritual master has no business seeing him.
Hmm.
So here we see that again, right? That the purpose of approaching the Bhagavatam is really to make a final solution to the real problems of life.
There is no need for a small talk.
Yeah. Mm.
Parikshitu vacha aho adyavayam brahman satsevyakshattra bandhava kripayatiti rupena bhavat vistirthaka kritaha.
The fortunate King Parikshit said, "O Brahmana, by your mercy only you have sanctified us, making us like unto places of pilgrimage. All by your presence here is my guest. By your mercy, we, who are but unworthy royalty, become eligible to serve the devotee." So here Prabhupada talks about, not here, but another lecture that I read about, he says that Maharaj Prataparudra, Lord Chaitanya didn't even want to see Maharaj Prataparudra. And so, the saintly people would actually stay away from kings and enjoyers in this material world, because there are two kinds of association with the world, sort of, in the mode of enjoyment. One is a direct enjoyment and the other is passive enjoyment. So the direct enjoyment is you actually directly go and you enjoy kingdom, wealth, riches. And the passive enjoyment is you enjoy by associating with those who are enjoying. So these great people would actually stay away from both active and passive enjoyment. And yet here he is approaching Maharaj Parikshit, and he's, and Maharaj Parikshit is very grateful. And again,
So it's the reverse, like here Sukadeva Goswami is approaching him. Maharaj Parikshit didn't go to him.
Yeah, he came here. And again, we see that framing again and again, that Maharaj Parikshit is not a mundane enjoyer, but he's bringing that aspect. And he's saying that I'm just a mundane enjoyer, a king who's just dealing with cents and, what is it, pounds and cents, and yet you've come. So. Yeah.
But you didn't start your video. I can't see you.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Okay. We're really okay.
Yesham samsmaranat pumsam sadhya suddhanti vagriha kim punar darshana sparsha pada shoshana sochasanadhibi.
Simply by our remembering you, our houses become instantly sanctified. And what to speak of seeing you, touching you, washing your holy feet, and offering you a seat in our home.
So this is the qualities of a devotee are being described, and such a pure devotee are being described. Just by remembering such a person, one becomes purified. I think Raghunath Das Goswami, one of the 6 Goswamis, he would remember all the Vaishnavas of Vrindavan and Mayapur at that time, Navadip at that time, and he'd offer 1008 obeisances. By remembering each Vaishnava, he would offer them obeisances, although they were far away. So this is the power. This is something that we can also practice. Maybe remember even one Vaishnava or 2 Vaishnava every day and offer them obeisances. Just by remembering them, we become purified. Sometimes we see that in Bhagavatam and in other places, the list of Vaishnava names are given, especially in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So many names are given. And then sometimes you start feeling, our conditioned mind starts feeling bored. Oh, I have to go read through all these names. But just by remembering these names, reading these names, we become purified. We start imbibing their blessings and qualities.
It's amazing, right? That in the material world, we leave a place, or a person goes away, and then that's the end. But in the spiritual realm, these relationships, they continue to grow as we remember them. And it's really it's not dependent. Like, for example, when you're talking about these names, these are names that we physically we may not have access to these names, but just by remembrance and you're just uttering their name, we get benedicted by them, and in fact we imbibe their qualities.
Yeah, just like if we remember the names of some materialistic person, say for example, whatever, a movie star or a sports star or a politician, remembering those names actually brings our consciousness down, right? Because there's so many unwanted things associated with those people. Whereas just by remembering the names of these great devotees, we actually associate with them in person.
Yes, we can move on.
Sanidhyate mahayogin patakani mahantyapi sadyo nashanti vepumsam vishnuriva suretaraha.
Just as the atheist cannot remain in the presence of the personality of Godhead, so also the invulnerable sins of a man are immediately vanquished in your presence. O saint, O great mystic. What is an invulnerable sin of a man?
Mahanti means great.
Oh,
Those sins that cannot be conquered.
Sins cannot be conquered.
Or cannot be vanquished.
Cannot be vanquished. Right. I find it very interesting, the use of the word invulnerable sins. So, even the sins that are like as big as a mountain, right? And Prabhupada says that I can actually, with one kick of my foot, I can actually remove all the obstacles of your spiritual life. So how can our obstacles in bhakti, how can they be removed? They cannot be removed by any other way other than by receiving the blessings of a devotee. Bhakti resides with a devotee. That's where we are going to get bhakti from. And the more we can actually collect that mercy, we have to learn the art of collecting mercy from a devotee. That is a great art. That is a great art. And once we learn that, then it becomes very easy. Bhakti, the process of bhakti becomes very easy.
Just the presence of a devotee is very powerful. And every devotee in this planet, on this planet, in this universe, is very important because they are kind of an ambassador of Krishna, and through them, Krishna is doing and going to do so many wonderful things. And therefore, we take every devotee very, very seriously, because every devotee has this capacity to remove our invulnerable sins. Api me Bhagavan Prita Krishna Pandu Sutta Priya Petri Swasya Pratyarhatam Tadgotrashyata Bandhavaha.
Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who's very dear to the sons of King Pandu, has accepted me as one of those relatives just to please his great cousins and brothers. And I was just thinking that, it is described that when a great devotee, a pure Vaishnava, is standing in front of Krishna, then you want to stand right behind them. Because the idea is that when Krishna glances at his pure devotee, then maybe because you're standing right behind him, his glance will also fall on you. And this is actually the mode in which we approach Krishna, that I have no qualification, Krishna, to approach you, but because I'm sort of like standing behind here, then maybe, by the mercy of this great devotee, I will also receive a glance. It's beautiful, actually.
And just by being related to a devotee in some way is the greatest benediction. Lord Chaitanya, he granted the greatest benediction to even the servants and the dogs of Srivas Thakur, who was a great devotee of the Lord. And everybody in his family, they got the ultimate blessings of Lord Chaitanya. Let's read this purport.
Prabhupada's purport is very interesting.
Yeah.
A pure and exclusive devotee of the Lord serves his family interest more dexterously than others who are attached to illusory family affairs. Generally, people are attached to family matters, and the whole economic impetus of human society is moving under the influence of family affection. Such deluded persons have no information that one can render better service to the family by becoming a devotee of the Lord. The Lord gives special protection to the family members and descendants of a devotee, even though such members are themselves non-devotees. So nice. And the Lord is so kind that he gives all protection to the family members of his devotee, and thus the devotee has no need to bother about his family members, even if one leaves such family members aside to discharge devotional service.
So sometimes we may see that our family may not be interested in Krishna consciousness, or they may be against Krishna consciousness, just like Hiranyakashipu was so much against Prahlad Maharaj.
Mm.
But because Prahlad was a devotee, Hiranyakashipu got the mercy of the Lord. So similarly, Krishna will bless every single family member.
I was hearing this wonderful, it was like a heartwarming lecture by Vaisheshika Prabhu the other day, where he was talking about exactly this, that how his parents were not interested and how he spent his life, and then how towards the end, like how his mother, like he was just talking about his mother, how she even received, Mahaprabhu actually gave her a name, and she was chanting and all that, So, we cannot underestimate, that one person taking up the process of bhakti can completely transform, one's family. And here too, we see that one just has to be patient. I think that was the one thing that Prabhu made a point in that, when we're dealing with our family and our friends, one just has to be really, really patient and wait for that time, because there will come a time when they will perhaps turn towards Krishna.
Yeah, just by a person taking to devotional service, Krishna has already, everybody in that family, not in that present generation, but like Krishna says, 7 generations before and 7 generations after, they have received Krishna's protection. And how that protection will manifest is up to Krishna, but they are protected.
And also, I guess I was thinking that, one can also be then rest assured, like sometimes we may feel, because of my practices of bhakti, this was a time that I would have spent with my family, and I'm being a little selfish perhaps by not like really being there, and instead of doing this. But, actually this one tiny little act of, whatever so-called selfishness actually becomes the greatest source of benediction for our entire family. We've seen that, and in fact, at some point there is this kind of awareness, even like, even though they may not have interest, but they become aware of the fact that they are somehow being the recipient of this benediction.
That is true. That is so true.
Yeah. So one should never think of this time that one is taking out in one's life as time that is being taken away, that, this was a time meant for my family and I'm giving it to Krishna.
Yeah, that is true. At the same time, we don't become fanatical and then just ignore our families.
Of course.
Anyatha tyavakta gate darshanam na katham nrinam nitaram riyamananam samsiddhasya vaniyashaha.
Otherwise, without being inspired by Lord Krishna, how is it that you have voluntarily appeared here, though you are moving incognito to the common man and are not visible to us who are on the verge of death?
So now he's seeing that how Krishna is directing everything, and Krishna has made this arrangement. He's seeing this as Krishna's arrangement. The great sage Sukadeva Goswami was certainly inspired by Lord Krishna to appear voluntarily before Maharaj Parikshit, the great devotee of the Lord, just to give him the teachings of Shrimad Bhagavatam.
I like this, what Prabhupada's saying here, that as soon as a devotee becomes sincere, as soon as the devotee wants to go back to Godhead, then Krishna will send. Krishna, the Lord, is seated in the heart of all living beings, and thus he knows very well the movements of all individual persons. As soon as the Lord finds that a particular soul is very eager to go back to Godhead, the Lord at once sends his bona fide representative. The sincere devotee is thus assured by the Lord of going back to Godhead. The conclusion is that to get the assistance and help of a bona fide spiritual master means to receive the direct help of the Lord himself.
Wow.
So, one can understand that if one has received the mercy of a devotee, that actually it is non-different from receiving direct help from Krishna. That means Krishna has already noted you, right? And is now bringing you back. And that, we're actually coming in the presence of a devotee means just like when you come in the presence of the sunshine, you're actually in the presence of the sun, right? So it's the same thing. Being in the presence of the devotees means that like you're already in. Now it's just a matter of like, suppose sometimes it happens, right? You come into somebody's house and first you meet their relatives and maybe you walk into their house and then, and then that it's like another 10 minutes. Like they'll say, okay, just wait in the living room and I'll call that person. So like you've already walked into the living room, you've already been received. Now it's a matter of another 10 minutes when the great personality, whoever you've gone to meet, is going to walk down from his, living quarters, whatever, and going to meet you.
And I guess being in the presence of a devotee or under the care of a devotee, actually even more direct presence of the Lord, because if you were to directly go in front of Krishna, then Krishna will examine us. Okay, this guy, he's a nonsense. I'm not so interested in him.
Mm.
But if we are given shelter by a devotee, then even if we are the greatest nonsense, Krishna cannot refuse us, because now we are under protection. So it's actually better to be under the direct care of a devotee than trying to directly go to Krishna.
I think Prabhupada says that, right? Radharani will recommend the devotee to Krishna and says, here is a devotee who's even a better devotee than me. Krishna, please accept him or her. And then Krishna cannot refuse. Same thing, our spiritual master will actually hold us by our hand and take us and say, here is a devotee, here is another maidservant, and like that, so when we are recommended by a devotee, then, and I think Vaisheshika Prabhu says it really, really well. He says in bhakti, it doesn't matter what you know, it matters who you know. So this is actually the ultimate, networking. This only works through networking. And there is a spiritual.
Prichami samsiddhim yoginam paramam gurum purusasya yat karyam mriyamanasya sarvatha.
You are the spiritual master of great saints and devotees. I'm therefore begging you to show the way of perfection for all persons, and especially for one who is about to die. I love this word, begging you. What is the Sanskrit word? That prichami.
Prichami.
Really love. I love the way Prabhupada has actually, taken prichami and translated that into begging. Because that's what we have to do. There is no bhakti without being a beggar. And if we go in front of Krishna or his representatives and say, oh, I got it down, like I have my, I got this and I got that and that, and everything, all my ducks are in a row and I'm okay. And then we won't become efficient beggars. So in order to become an efficient beggar, we have to first understand that we are akinchana, that I have nothing, that I have no platform to stand on. I have no qualification. I have really nothing to show for. I'm just I can only stand on my 2 feet if I'm granted some mercy. So one should observe the activities of a beggar. In America, we are not so fortunate because we don't get to see so many beggars. But, if we do get a chance to see one, we should see, how do they beg? They don't beg with a complacent look on their face. They don't beg.
The one who begs complacently doesn't get anything.
They don't beg with a big, they don't show that they have a big wallet in their pocket. Nobody's going to give them money if they say that I already have a big, wallet with money in my, they're like, okay, go buy something yourself then. But if you go in as a beggar and say, Krishna, I have nothing, I'm poverty stricken. And this is actually Bhakti Vinod Thakur's mood. He says, Ami to Kangala, Krishna Krishna boli. He says, I'm just a Kangala. Kangala means a beggar. And I'm running after you and I'm saying, Krishna, please, you please give Krishna to me.
And here Parikshit Maharaj is also concerned about everybody else. Before, he's not putting his request before, he's saying, show the way of perfection for all persons. You can see his compassionate heart, although he's going to die in 7 days, but he's worried about everybody else.
Can we finish? I think we are almost there.
Yat chotavyam atho japyam yat kartavyam nidhi prabho smartavyam bhajaniyam va ruhi yadva viparyayam.
Please let me know what a man should hear, chant, remember, and worship, and also what he should not do. Please explain all this to me. So both the do's and the don'ts.
Nunam bhagavato brahman griheshu grihamedhinam na lakshate hi avasthanam api godohanam kochit. And the other important point here is that we should find out from a bona fide devotee what is to be done, not create things on our own. Because sometimes the tendency of the mind is to create things on our own. Okay, I can maybe follow 2 things, but one thing I just do on my own. And that is not the path of getting success in devotional life.
O powerful Brahmana, it is said that you hardly stay in the houses of men long enough to milk a cow. So this is actually a very nice way, actually, right? I like the imagery of that.
Imagery, yes.
Yeah, that how, like, it doesn't take long to milk a cow. So great saintly people will only go visit some householder's home just for that much time.
And here again, his humility comes out. He's not expecting that Sukadeva Goswami is going to stay with him for 7 days. He's not taking that for granted. He's thinking that Sukadeva Goswami has appeared only for that short duration to milk a cow. So I have only so little time with him. So please grant me your mercy and give me the essence very, very quickly. It is Sukadeva Goswami's greatness that he will stay for 7 days, but he doesn't know that yet. Nobody knows that. Evam abhasitah prishta saragya slakshanaya gira pratyabhasata dharmagyo bhagavan badarayani.
Sri Sudha Goswami said, the king thus spoke and questioned the sage using sweet language. Then the great and powerful personality, the son of Vyasadeva, who knew the principles of religion, began his reply.
Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the first canto, 19th chapter of the Shrimad Bhagavatam. And this also ends the first
Entitled
canto.
The Appearance of Sukadeva Goswami.
Goswami.
This is the end
End
of the first canto. We want to congratulate you guys. This is amazing. Thank you for being on this amazing journey with us. We've completed the first
When
canto.
did we start? Anybody remembers when we started? May, month of May, I guess. Sometime. Yeah, I think May.
This is amazing. May, June, July,
August, September, October, November. I think probably 6.5 months.
6.5. But also the first canto is loaded, right?
It is loaded. It's big.
Yeah, it's big. But this is amazing. Thank you so much.
Because of you guys, we were able to read
the
Bhagavatam more deeper, and your realizations and enthusiasm has enriched us in so many different ways. So we're very
I finished
grateful.
the first round of reading of Bhagavatam today. Today I finished the last 12th canto.
Oh, wow.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I'm
That's a
going to
big
start
deal.
again, read it again. So with
Thank
this
you.
time, yeah.
So any reflections, any comments, questions? Yes, Radhika, go ahead. Looks like you want to say something.
No, I think overall it was a very nice session. I think you mentioned one point about Bhagavatam, that we read Bhagavatam to collect points, right? Sometimes I was thinking, even in that level of reading, is it that we are not encountering the truth? Basically, we are not, we're still, I mean to say that the flux is not removed from our mind. I think we're still reading. Is that what you meant, or?
Yeah. I mean, it's just deeper and deeper, mode of reading, because there can be like a mindset that, okay, and we heard this from Kalakanta Prabhu, remember when we met him, and he was saying that there can be sort of this mindset that, okay, and of course any contact with Bhagavatam, at any level is the most purifying, but we want to go deeper.
Yeah, it's intellectual reading, but we want to go at the heart-based reading, where we actually start feeling Krishna's presence in Bhagavatam, the presence of these devotees. We want to open our heart, because whatever is analyzed by the mind and intelligence can go away. But the real benefit of Bhagavatam we will get. And I guess, that is the process. Initially, it's like penetrating the coverings, like the universe has 7 coverings. So only when we come out of those 7 coverings, then we experience the spiritual realm. So similarly, I guess we have to penetrate to the coverings of our mind and intelligence. But at the same time, while we are doing that, every time we read that, we remind ourselves to open our heart, approach the Bhagavatam through our heart equally, and in that begging mood, as if like we are on the altar offering worship to the Lord, and then we'll get so much more benefit from Bhagavatam.
There is no loss in approaching Bhagavatam in whatever way, but at the same time, we also want to go deeper, and we want to, ultimately approach the Bhagavatam from a place of supplication, that, I'm just here as a beggar, and I just really want to approach. Purports, there are points that grab us, but after repeated readings, then those points have already been heard and we talked about, right? And then no longer newer points. Then how do you find your hook?
How do we find it newer and newer? Like Parikshit Maharaj is finding the Bhagavatam newer and newer.
Yeah.
Right. So how is that going to happen? If we just approach it with our intelligence, then intelligence will say, okay, I already know it. Give me something new.
So give me something new. So I think that's why, when we just the repeated reading will also force us to, or rather, only when we enter into the prayerful mood, then we will be able to actually read the Bhagavatam again and again, the Kirtaniya Sada Hari, because we will not find as much perhaps we will, but it may reduce even the intellectual stimulation part. We may find that Prabhupada is repeating the same points over and over and over again. Especially as we continue to read the Bhagavatam, we will see that Prabhupada has a way of just saying the same thing, in different ways, and sometimes it may feel a little repetitive. So that's why the more we can use, see this. In fact, that's something I had to see for myself, that I'm really trying to associate with Prabhupada and the great acharyas and Krishna. And that's really what I'm doing when I'm reading the Bhagavatam, because otherwise it can start to feel, you can start to feel restless. I don't know if it helps, Radhika. It's just it was just a slight point.
Right, because when you read, you want your you want to keep that in mind too, right? So that was one reason. And the other point which I liked towards the end when we were talking, that how Parikshit Maharaj, he was in such a humble mood that he was not wanting Sukadeva Goswami to stay there and talk to him all throughout the 7 days, right? So I was thinking that 2 days back when I was having this conversation with you, we were talking about humility, that humility is just means reality, right? Living in being real, right? What is your position. And so I was just connecting it with this point and thinking that how Parikshit Maharaj, when you're really humble and connecting it with Parikshit Maharaj, that he knew that whether Sukadeva Goswami stayed or not stayed, it's the will of the Lord. So anything that is happening for good. And so we don't want to insert our will and say that he has to stay, he has to do this with me, he has to behave in this and this way, he did not do this. So it's just a reminder for my own self to understand that humility means that whatever comes across, that is yours. And that's where gratitude also lies. So yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Anybody else?
How do you guys, maybe some reflection on, we completed first canto. What has been your journey with Bhagavatam? How has it impacted you so far?
Anshul Anchita, go ahead. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Mataji Prabhuji. No, I not about the journey, but yeah, something you towards the end of the canto, when we were talking about how important to stay humble and how much blessing we need from the devotees for our journey. And a few days ago, we heard a prayer. I think one of the devotees' daughter, Tyasha, did the prayer. I didn't understand the Bengali version, but when I read the English version of it, and I think Mataji also mentioned some of the lines from there. That I felt so good. After reading it, that what should be the mood of a devotee. And if I read just 2 lines, it says, "I do not find the strength to carry on alone the Sankirtana of the holy name of Hari. Please bless me by giving just 1 drop of faith with which to obtain the great treasure of the holy name of Krishna. Krishna is yours. You have the power to give him to me. I'm simply running behind you shouting Krishna, Krishna." So that's when we were talking about it, this is what was coming to my mind, and that the mood and the importance and what I should be even praying to a devotee, that okay, how can you give me your mercy, because Krishna is yours. You can only give me. I don't have any intelligence or any quality so that Krishna can come to me. You can only give it to me. So I was like kind of relating what you said with this prayer.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, that's the mood we always want to keep. Or in fact, grow that mood more and more. Normally what happens is when we start out on bhakti, then we are in that mood, but as soon as we make some progress or whatever, then we start feeling, okay, I got it now. And then that mood, because of our conditioning, starts going away. But it should be the reverse. We want to increase that mood more and more and more.
Actually, one time we heard a lecture, and this is a point that in the beginning we make a lot of progress. And the reason we make so much progress is because our eyes are innocent, and we have such an enthusiasm. Everywhere we look around, all we see is just the purity and the love of Krishna. But as we go along, then we start seeing, oh, actually, we
start seeing faults. We start seeing faults in others. We start criticizing others, judging others, and start feeling and stop judging ourselves. We start feeling, okay, I am so good, but everybody else has problems. and therefore we start losing that enthusiasm. That
I just have a follow-up question. Sorry, I couldn't ask
Yeah.
this. We were talking about being in the mood of, and when the bhakti comes, that you are natural being that insignificant, that like, you are not significant, and the more you go walk to this path, the more feeling you get how insignificant you are, right? I mean, this is what the natural path or natural feeling should be. But the question is, again, which bothers me a lot, and I feel like a pendulum. When I'm in association of devotees and when we are in the sessions, okay, that feeling comes. It feels, yeah, this is how we should feel. This is the natural feeling. This is how we should feel. But the moment it turns off and I'm back to real world, you go to work, you're outside. I mean, even you try to be insignificant for like few minutes, people will, I mean, like roll over you and just, they don't even treat you with like anything. And then how to balance that? I mean, it feels like, okay, what am I doing? Am I doing this as a fake or that as a fake? I mean, it confuses me a lot. I'm not sure if I articulated my question
that's a very good question. I guess when we are in that material environment for our work and everything, we do whatever is needful to make things work for us. So it doesn't mean that we become artificially insignificant or humble, just to be like, I want to be humble, so let other people do whatever. No, that's not the, like when Arjuna was shooting arrows, he was not like shooting arrows as a humble Arjuna. Okay, insignificant Arjuna. Okay, I'm just going to be, can I shoot the arrow at you, please? It's not like that. He was shooting arrow with full vigor and full power of his.
And they were even using like language, right?
Yeah, they were using like
Kshatriya language.
And really going for it. So it doesn't mean that we become like a doormat in our work situation and let everybody run over us. It doesn't mean that. You just do the needful. In your heart, you know that you're doing this as a service to Krishna. At the same time, we are not insulting, we are not disrespectful to any living entity. So that's the mood of our humility. But at the same time, you be assertive. You do whatever needs to be done in the work situation. But we are not offensive. We are not abrasive. We are a gentleman, and at the same time strong and assertive. So that's the mood we want to carry.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? Prabhupada actually mentions that. He says a shopkeeper, if he says, "For you, I'm not taking any profit," he said that does not constitute a lie. That is not cheating. So when you're in Prabhupada also says this. He says a devotee is like a lamb at home and a lion on the chase. So he's both,
So I mean, there's in work situation also there are many different kinds of dealings. One is in like meetings and things like that where one has to present and things like that. And then there's also dealing with other work colleagues at a personal level also. So there you have more room to be yourself, but at the same time being more personal. You can always be more personal, more loving. So people then get attracted. This person never gets ruffled, and then that's another quality is that not getting ruffled by the ups and downs in the workplace. So people notice that, and it also keeps your intelligence more intact. So many things you can take from there.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Amritvani shared a very nice point with me a few days back. She said she heard in a lecture that regarding faults, we see the faults of others through a microscope and we see the fault of us through a telescope. It should be the other way around. So I really liked it.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah. I think that's Shringar, anything from you? Amrita, Jeanette, Uni. We'd love to hear from you because we just completed a milestone. So maybe quickly we can all share something and then we'll wind up.
Hare Krishna, Mataji and Prabhuji.
Yes, Kavita, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. It's very amazing feeling like every day. I couldn't manage when you went to India, but I was missing that. And I got back somehow. I was planning like attending Bhagavad Gita, but this also I have to make it. it's very amazing feeling trying to be there, and it is possible only because of you. We finished this first canto. At least I think maybe I'm not able to do complete justice of reading 30 pages of every day. It reminds me every day, like I have to do, but because of so many other things, not able to do. But at least this way, 1 hour sitting with you and listening itself gives me so much of knowledge, and being with all of you devotees, and really feels like nearer to Krishna. And I loved the quiz, like all the sessions, how it goes through, and starting the session with kirtan and ending with the mala japa and our reflections, everything I really liked about it.
Thank you. It is
Very
only because
thankful
of
to
all of you.
and yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And one question was bothering me. If like I was reading Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter or something, Annad Bhavanti Bhutani Parjanyadana Sambhavaha. That shloka, recently I visited this Colorado River where the water has come up to the limit only twice, and there is no water, and so many people are dependent. 7 states are dependent on that. So how is it possible to make the rains fall in the place where it is required? Like in India, it's raining and flooding, and it's here, it's not. And what is the sources? Like it was bothering me, even just thinking about it. Is it something going to happen? What else we can do? Like as an individual person. So I just shared my thoughts, what's going on in my mind.
Yeah, these are all resources of nature which are controlled by Krishna's representatives in the higher planets. And all we can do at our personal level is to chant Hare Krishna and pray to Krishna, and he's the ultimate controller. So that is the only remedy for this Kali Yuga. All the ills of Kali Yuga can be counteracted by chanting Hare Krishna, making that as a regular practice in our life, and sharing this with others as much as we can.
I mean, it may sound very simplistic,
Yeah.
but at the same time, this is actually along with the other things that we do, which is that, of course, we become aware of the environment and we take
Yes.
care of, whatever we can do as an individual to try and, leave the world in a better condition. This is the one thing that can really evoke good fortune for the world. And this is something that is stated in the scriptures, and we can discuss this. This is a little bit broader, bigger topic. Maybe we can address this maybe tomorrow or something like that, so that we can stay on Bhagavatam right now.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Any other reflections? Amrita, any reflection for you? We completed.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Yeah, I just wanted to, what stood out for me in first canto was, not only like, the importance of association, but also the importance of asking the right questions. I think like, while you're in that association, coming up with, those right questions is very, very, very important. So yeah, so I think I was just, contemplating on that, while we are together, asking those right questions is so important.
That could be our tagline for this session, and ending the first canto with right questions. Maharaj Parikshit is ending the first canto with the right questions.
Right question. Yeah, very nice. Bhuvaneshwari, anything from you?
Hare Krishna Mataji Prabhuji. I really
Hare
can't
Krishna.
thank enough Krishna and all of you, because I just got introduced into this group just about 3 months ago, and I can't imagine my life now without thinking of Krishna. So the impact has been tremendous, and I don't think I can just describe it in words. And thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you, Bhuvaneshwari.
Thank you for being with us.
You are Krishna sent, truly. Thank you. I don't know if anyone...
Yuni, would you like to share something? We'd love to hear from you.
Jeanette and Yuni. Or Raj, if you want to say. Yeah,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Yuni.
I just find myself looking forward to this more and more, and like just, you know, just begging Krishna just a drop of something.
So beautiful.
When you get that drop, please share a drop of that drop with us. We need that drop too.
Yeah, so beautiful. So beautiful.
Uni, go ahead. You were going to say.
Hare Krishna. Yes, I'm happy that we can meet, and I like to listen to the reflections, and I'm especially trying to do chanting each day. So
Wonderful.
the group helps me as well.
It's wonderful.
Thank you.
That's so wonderful. Thank you, Yone. Thank you for sharing that.
That's okay.
I have a sense of just want to express my gratitude, Lokaji and Mataji. Yeah, so I want to echo Bhuvaneshwari that, thanks for all your efforts. Without this, I don't think I would have even gone closer to reading Bhagavatam. I would have just wasted my birth. That's how I feel. Yeah, it is, just it's coming from my heart, the words. It's really true. I'm exposed to more Bhagavad Gita. I would have read here and there. I have a book and all that, but not truly Bhagavatam. So it's really, I don't know how to express my words to you both, for your efforts and what a service to humankind you guys are doing. Excellent. Yeah,
it is only because of the presence. We feel exactly the same way about all of you. That because of your presence, we are able to create a circle like this. And each one of you, you are an invaluable, indispensable, link in that circle. And when each window is so unique. And when any one of you is not there, we miss you guys.
Yes. Yeah, we have been reading Bhagavatam for the last 25 years, but we have never read Bhagavatam like this in our entire life, like the way we are reading with you. It's going in much deeper, and your realizations and your enthusiasm is making Bhagavatam real for us.
It's almost like we're also sitting on the banks of the Ganga with all the great sages.
It's like we're reading it for the first time.
It's actually like we're reading it for the first time. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So maybe we'll
continue.